Welcome back to Brilliant Shadows. My name is Delphron, or Delphron for those of you who don't know, and we are going to be continuing on with the story. So, what are you going to do?
Well, my plan is similar to her own, save for one point she didn't account for. I intend to bring you.
What, have a trio instead of a pair?
Until we find the other phoenix? Yes.
That's ridiculous. It would also be a trio in name only. I wouldn't be able to actually contribute to pairing magic.
I think it's a good idea. Leaving you here is just tragic.
Okay, so they're planning an escape.
That certainly sheds a positive light on my predicament.
I plan to have Heck speak with the heads. He might be able to convince them of the need to get you away from here.
I only just noticed it, but are you calling him Heck?
Yeah, I'm Prude, you're Ash, and he's Heck.
Oh, I suppose that makes sense. Why does he get a nickname already?
Well, I'm stuck with him for a long time one way or another. Might as well let him in our fun a little early, no?
I feel like Ash is a little jealous. Ash forced a smile.
So back to the matter at hand. Why do you insist on Heck talking to the heads? Shouldn't you have more clout, seeing as you're of a royal lineage?
You should know this better than I. But I think Heck's stronger than either of the heads alone, at least in terms of magical ability.
Okay. Wait, what? No.
Did you notice when he picked a fight with Zachariah in your room?
I noticed the blood, and when she kicked him in the stomach.
Yeah, he disagreed with how they handled the situation.
And what, he attacked them?
More or less. I didn't really see what escalated the argument, but by the time I was there, Zachariah was on the ground, and Luciana was turning purple while her golems were pummeling him into submission. Ash, he was a student 2 years ago. They are the heads of their orders. He shouldn't be that strong. Despite the confrontation, they have a certain degree of respect for him.
Okay.
Sounds more like they have a certain degree of fear.
Still, they will listen to him more than myself.
I can't imagine they will still be willing to let us go.
At some point, it won't be worth it for them to keep us here any longer.
It seems really weird, but I'm thinking something's going on with the Phoenix. Like, maybe the heads are behind it? Do you think, like, maybe the heads are the ones who orchestrated the Phoenix because they wanted to summon someone and they're using Ash's bait, so that's why they want Ash to stay around?
There really is only so much they can do to investigate this without resorting to something drastic like Heck wanted to try.
So what will I do there?
I'm sure my mother will find uses for a trio of mages.
And what if I never find the truth behind my mark?
Then you're still a capable necromancer who will, if nothing else, have a position in court.
Ah, and no chance of high adventure, I suppose.
Perhaps not, but there was that risk when we decided to join the Kingsguard.
Prudence, Veronica, why are you about?
Is there a reason we shouldn't be?
Dearest goddess, I pray you're not taking after Hector so quickly. I had hoped a year or two of shame might have shackled a bit of that arrogance, but apparently it only made it infectious.
I don't understand. Why can't we talk?
Zachariah, there's no need to be so controlling. The girls are graduates after all.
They may be graduates, but they're also involved in what may be the greatest scandal our school has ever experienced.
I am sure we will find out what has happened in time. Hector is busy looking into it right now.
We are conducting an investigation of our own. We do not need the assistance of a freshly paired pup to...
Luciana began laughing, and Zachariah looked embarrassed for a moment.
Zachariah is still a bit sore over losing.
I did not lose. He caught me off guard. Even the best warriors cannot easily counter a sneak attack.
Of course, my love. A sneak attack. Now, to be frank, we are entirely fine with Mr. Warlock pursuing his own line of research. But both Zachariah and I agree that there is likely a much more mundane explanation to this.
Okay.
We do not understand the exact limitations of the ritual.
Most likely, there was someone performing the ritual at its absolute maximum range, possibly even outside the mountain.
Wait, so someone else is performing the ritual as well? But, like, just in the border of the magic capability, so that they could have been paired up with us in like a different school or something?
Meaning there is someone, possibly a candidate of significant ability and skill, in a nearby village, who will bear the Phoenix mark.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And once we find this candidate, you will have a partner, and will be allowed to leave.
I'm confused. Why do Heck and Prude need to stay here then?
Zachariah looked uncomfortable with the question.
The fact still remains that if we are wrong, Hector has conducted more research related to the subject than any living mage. Though my dear will be loath to admit it, his knowledge and insight may be invaluable to determining an alternative cause.
If he knew so much, you'd think he would have known the range of the ritual.
She's still a bit salty. Now, if you'll excuse us, we were just about to go speak with your seekers. We need to conduct a sweep for candidates immediately.
Okay. Wait, why does it keep doing that? Okay. Zachariah maintained a sneer as the two walked away.
What does salty mean?
It means you're salty like the ocean, like you're bitter, honey, like you can't get any worse.
It's a soldier term, I think. Meaning something around the lines of being upset.
Because your tears are full of salt, honey.
Huh. I like it.
What I can't believe is that he just passed out so easily.
Are you kidding? He was about 2 steps from the grave in his condition.
I want to be sure, though. It doesn't bother you, right? Him sleeping in your bed, I mean.
He is sleeping alone. Were he to have tried to join me, my opinion may have been different, but as it stands, I have no qualms.
You're handling it better than I would.
That's just because you've always had a weakness for boys.
No, I mean everything. I wasn't just talking about the bed. And I don't have a weakness for boys. You just have a complete lack of regard for them. You know, we've been here for, goddess, how many years has it been? 15? And you have yet to...
Please, Prude, there is more to life than relationships.
Honey, why you hiding?
I know, but...
Prude. Look, I had supposed that such things would wait until I was paired and we were truly beginning our lives.
Ah, so what you're saying is that you want something more romantic. Something with more substance than the fling at school.
But I don't understand. If they're paired, can they have a relationship with someone outside of the pair? Because then you're going to be building a life with someone else that's not in your pair. And if that pair wants to go to war or something, you'll be leaving that person behind, right?
And you don't?
Prude sighed.
I'm not sure what I want anymore.
Ash's eyes grew wide before she followed Prude's gaze to the sleeping Hector.
You can't possibly mean...
I have the solution.
Hector was up with a sudden jolt that both Prude and Ash were against the wall, arms raised and magic summoned.
She is paired with a plant. Because clearly, if her research is correct...
A long pause hung.
I have lost my train of thought.
More like you woke up from your dream.
That may have been it.
I'm actually curious as to your thought process there.
Well, if Veronica is right, and one can animate a plant in the same way one might a corpse, then the same potential for magic energy may exist in a plant.
Oh. Okay.
So, a plant performed the ritual.
Hector allowed a long pause to hang in the air before shaking his head.
It made sense while I was sleeping.
How do you know so much about my research? I don't share my notes.
I figured out the basics by following your reading patterns in the library.
What would prompt you to do that?
Ash took a step back, suddenly a deal more uncomfortable with the man in her bed.
Idle curiosity, mostly, and I don't actually have all that much to do outside of classes. My failure to be paired killed my social life, and my own studies can only maintain my interest for so long.
Okay. I mean, it's still stalkery, but that makes sense. Kind of.
Other students' research occasionally provided a welcome distraction.
Not sure if I should be mortified or impressed.
A little boat was kind of best here.
I am allowing for an uncomfortable mixture of both.
That would be reasonable.
Oh, goddess, do you actually think you're creepy? I had thought that was some joke on Ash's part.
I know what time every student wakes up normally. I would argue that is definitively creepy.
Ash flinched a little at the admittance.
Light and shadows, you're weird.
Weirdest in the school. Also, the best. I think that once me and Prude get the hang of this pairing thing, I could outmatch the heads.
Okay. Pretty confident, but I don't know how that's going to work out, though.
Oh, there's an idea. Prude, have you ever considered becoming heads?
I have a kingdom to worry about first.
Ah, very well. I would prefer to avoid staying here anyway. 16 years was enough for me.
I am sure you'll find plenty of ways to show off in the king's court.
Oh yes, I suppose I should talk to Zachariah and Luciana about that.
They let you call them by their first name?
No, I call them by their first name and they must accept it.
Hector's face took on a dark expression.
They may not acknowledge me as their better, but they will at least provide me the courtesy of eschewing honorifics.
Ah.
You're being kind of intense there, Heck.
Mm-hmm. Hector's face immediately lightened. He looked almost embarrassed.
My apologies.
Do you consider us your lessers then?
Hector seemed struck by the question. Ash wasn't entirely sure what had prompted it. Resentment?
No. I am clearly better than you in some areas, but you have an area of expertise entirely removed from my own. The same goes for Prudence, of course.
But you just said you consider yourself better than Zachariah. I can understand possibly considering yourself better than Luciana. She's a necromancer too. Zachariah is a paladin. You have none of her abilities.
I need not possess the abilities of a paladin to recognize she lacks skill. Her abilities are not deprived of finesse, talent, or even power. She merely abuses the ability of a paladin to instill strength in excess, and then uses her years of experience as a fighter. She is deadly in combat, but she is no great mage.
Okay.
Luciana's craft with golems is exemplary. Truly she is gifted, but I am better.
You're rather arrogant.
Also creepy. But I am still the best.
I don't know. I want to like Hector, but I don't.
Ugh, let's not fight, please. I would really like my best friend and my partner to be friends.
I apologize, Prudence. I will try my best. I have found no fault in anything Veronica has said. Of course, my best with social interactions is a tad worse than my magical abilities.
Aw, you're adorable. Like a deranged kitten.
Oh gosh.
Thank you.
I am not entirely sure that was a compliment.
First, we should conduct a little research. I would like to establish a range on a pairing ritual. Would you two mind helping me kidnap a few students?
No! What?
Ugh, do you really have to call it a kidnapping?
Brilliant shadows. Oh, look at the little plant. Maybe we are connected to a plant.
I don't understand why I am required to accompany you on this.
Mostly because you were rather clear in your desire to experiment on other students.
I love the fact that they're like bopping up and down to simulate that they're walking.
I am not a student anymore, I'm a graduate. The other in that sentence is incorrect.
That is what concerns you?
Do not trouble yourself, Zachariah. As long as Mr. Warlock is with us, there is no risk of him misbehaving.
I'm not misbehaving. This would hardly be the first time I've conducted such experiments.
Yes, we know. Those experiments were never sanctioned either.
Not to mention that Mr. Warlock would require quite the number of mages to replicate a pairing ritual. Even if you had some of the most powerful mages to have ever attended, you would not have the power to simulate the yearly pairing ritual. There is a reason that we only perform it on an annual basis. We lack unpaired students who might have wished to participate. And we can't simply offer you students ill-prepared to graduate.
Nonsense! I cannot believe the spell is so limited. The requirement is the input of raw power, not number. A pair of mages trained in the task could likely...
Zachariah reared her horse and turned it so that she might meet Hector with a glare. Instead, she seemed startled for a moment, finding Hector already locked on her with his eyes of a hound and with blooded prey. Zachariah turned away sharply.
I don't care what you think, Mr. Warlock. You do not have permission to conduct your experiments, so for now you will stay by our side.
Ash was surprised to find that she seemed the only one to have registered looks between the two. Even Prude seemed to have her attention elsewhere.
I must agree with my wife on this.
LGBT romance! Sakura smiled fondly at Luciana. The expression seemed alien on her face. Her own eyes fell on Hector, and she found herself suddenly facing down those same eyes. Blood became needles of ice in her veins. The frost in his glare melted into a warm grin. It had only been a heartbeat, but she still felt it. What had that been? That animosity? There was something wrong with that man.
So, what are we hoping to find?
I believe these two are of a mind that there's a paladin who has been training in secret in a nearby village.
That is more or less accurate.
I have another question for you, Heck.
What is it?
Why aren't you riding a horse?
Finally! It was like, there was literally all of them riding a horse right now. Why isn't he?
Oh,
As long as he can keep up, Hector is welcome to do whatever he pleases.
Okay.
You want to be a soldier, boy? You best learn to ride. An army cannot be expected to wait on your fancies.
Hector did not bother to fire a glare at her this time. Instead, he took a deep breath, lowered his gaze, and broke into a hard run. He outpaced the group in moments. Ash felt her jaw drop, but was quick to clench it shut. He was fast.
What is his deal with horses?
oh, I don't know. He just mentioned it to me while the handlers were preparing Arcturus.
That boy has been afraid of horses since the day he arrived.
Horses like him about as much. There's something to be said of a man who cannot earn the trust of a horse.
Ash did not disagree. Going to town and stay with the heads in Karud. What will we do? Oh, this is like a choice. Will we stay with the heads in Karud or will we go into town? I feel like we need to just stay with, like, I don't know, maybe we'll just go into town, because if we stay at the heads in Karud, we're going to just end up where they want to go. But if we go into town, we'll kind of like see around and maybe explore. Ash took the reins and the horse neatly shifted into a harsh gallop. She followed Hector as he continued his brisk pace towards the village, leaving the rest of the group far behind. How was a man on foot outpacing a horse? Zachariah was right, something was off about him. The ride to the village was brief, and Hector was already busy speaking with the villagers.
I am sorry to hear about your loss. Thank you for your information.
Did you find something?
Oh, hello, Ash.
Well?
Maybe. Apparently an old man died the night of the ritual. His son was a mage. A full mage, so don't get your hopes up there. If there is anyone in this village who may know anything, it will be him.
What in the shadows is a tiny village like this doing with a mage?
Huh?
It doesn't seem odd to you that a village as small as this one would warrant a full mage? I mean, I would understand a hedge mage. Perhaps a student who failed their exams.
I believe the mage in question is merely visiting. The man who died was the father and had been ill for some time.
Oh.
Hector looked into the distance. They could barely make out the approach of Karud and the heads.
Let's go. I'd like to look into this more before they get here.
Okay, but why?
Hector did not give an answer as he marched towards the cottage in the distance. With a grimace, Ash followed.
You really need to work on your conversational skills.
Huh?
I was referring to how you just ignored my question.
You asked a question? I'm sorry, I must have been lost in thought.
Apparently.
Hector gave no response.
What exactly is on your mind?
Worst case scenarios.
A chill seeped down the length of her spine.
Perhaps keeping your thoughts to yourself is for the best then.
As they arrived at the cottage, Ash was surprised at its condition. The soil around the mountain was exceptionally rich for farmland, and the presence of the mountain itself provided a region of degree of stability most could not afford. It's so pretty! Oh my gosh, it's really pretty. She would not be surprised to find such a cottage. This place was not fine, it was lavish.
Wow, a little more than I expected.
The son,
Hector paused.
or daughter, is inside. I forgot to inquire as to the identity of the mage.
He was still ignoring her.
As for the appearance, I suspect that their child sends home money. Most mages make a very comfortable stipend.
Or perhaps not. Hector rapped on the door. Ash heard something from within, and a moment later the door opened.
Can I help you?
Oh, he's cute! The man did not have a look of a mage, be they necromancer or paladin.
Yes, hello. I would like to ask you about the person your father saw the night he died.
Really? Are you serious?
Placing a hand around Hector's shoulder before he could speak, Ash pulled him back as she stepped forward.
Yes, I'm Ash, a necromancer. This is Hector, of the same profession.
Hector opened his mouth to speak once more, but Ash spoke first, forcing her words before his own.
Hector informed me you were a mage. May I ask of your speciality? We are hoping you might provide something in the way of information about the identity of who we saw.
They call me Marte.
Malta.
I'm no mage, though you wouldn't be the first to make that mistake. My older brother is, though if you're looking for him, he's already gone. My father was a bit delirious when he passed. But that figure in the dark, he was convinced it was death itself coming for him. I don't think death is the type to trip and stumble into the mud, though. I might not have been able to hear them, but the way they thrashed afterwards, you could tell their mouth was foul with curses. Just don't think that's the kind of demeanor death would have.
So you saw them?
Not much more than a cloaked traveler in the night.
What color was their cloak?
Gray, why does it matter?
Can you give me any more details?
I was kind of busy with my father's final throes. No.
Okay. Ash was a bit shocked and wouldn't ease the man spoke of both death and his past father. Only his most recent response contained any hint that the conversation may have bothered him.
In such case, I will depart, thank you.
Let's speak with Malte. Ash considered following Hector, but discarded the thought as she turned back to the man. There was something strange about him, and Ash wanted to know his story, particularly his comment about how he might be mistaken for a mage.
I'm sorry for the rudeness of my companion. He's socially crippled.
Not the first one I've met. Reminds me a lot of the kobolds. Nothing ruder to a kobold than an inefficient conversation.
Kobolds?
Ash genuinely had no idea what the man was talking about.
They live a long way off. Months of travel at least. But they're nothing compared to the Yetis of the far mountains, or the Harpies of the Sea Spires, even farther than that. Both are far easier to reach than the swamplands of the kobolds.
Ash was now convinced the man was making jest of her.
Oh, but none compared to the oddities of the gnomes.
Malte cocked an eyebrow.
You've met gnomes?
Or perhaps he was just mad.
Never mind. So your brother is a mage?
Yes, he's a paladin. He was with my father, desperately trying to extend his life. Age is a wound beyond the healing of any paladin.
And you?
I travel, mostly.
A light flashed across the man's eyes.
But I have a bit of magic of my own.
Retreating into the depths of the house, the man quickly returned holding a bottle with a metal rod in the center of strange liquid swirling within.
I present to you lightning in a bottle.
Oh, very nice.
Let me answer the question in your head for you.
The man reached into the satchel at his side and withdrew a tiny bottle with a metal cap, wiring running around to its center. He presented it with the mannerisms of a performer, waving both it and the bottle before, then touching the cap to the metal rod. The room suddenly lit with a brilliance that made her immediately question whether he had lied before about being a paladin.
Incredible! What type of magic is this?
No magic. Just simple electricity. The light bottle is something I had crafted for me by a master glassblower. I developed a number of other uses for bottled lightning, but I find this to be the most impressive.
Incredible that this can be done with no magic.
You'd be amazed at the things you can do without magic. There was a time when man was without magic. The ruins are such a wonder that I question if we were not better off without it.
Please, don't tell me you're one of those who believes in the dawn of magic.
I do. I've seen a lot more of the world than most, and some of the things I've seen make me think that maybe we didn't always have magic.
Ash rolled this over in her mind.
Thank you, Malta. It was a pleasure to meet you, but I should be going.
The pleasure was all mine. Take care, Ash.
He led her out the door, and Ash made her way to find the heads and Karud.
You have no business dismissing me so easily.
Mr. Warlock, if you've found nothing, then we have no reason to search further. You will not remain here unsupervised.
I believe Zachariah is correct here. We do not want a repeat of some of your earlier incidents. Please, this is our first village. We have many more to investigate. What are the chances we would find our answers within the first place we look?
Higher than you'd think.
You are, of course, correct. My apologies.
The words came out, but his face spoke in our story.
I assume you would have already interrupted that dispute, should the rod have found anyone.
You are correct. It is only us here.
Let us move on.
Ash and Prue exchanged glances as they remounted and slowly turned their horses. Prue trotted slowly, allowing Hector to get time to catch her. Ash turned to watch from ahead of the two.
Hey, it's okay. We'll figure this out.
Yes, I intend to. My apologies for my outburst. I am wearing myself needlessly thin, I think. I am not sure how much longer I can keep this up.
Prude's hands fell to his head. He was just at the right height as she stroked his hair. The two smiled at each other. Ash felt chills go down her spine. Something was wrong. She couldn't keep watching this in silence. Oh, homegirl is jealous! Ash stripped out the muddy riding boots and threw a sopping gown to the floor beside them. The rain had come and struck so hard that the small expeditionary force had been forced to interrupt their hunt. Save for Hector, he had stared out into the expanse, faded grey by the rain, and simply told the four that he would keep looking. That couldn't be normal. Was he really looking for the other phoenix, or was he working on something else? He had the mark of the spider after all. Mark interpretation was said to be accurate as fortune-telling, but she could not shake the image of the man standing amidst an enormous web, spinning it with care and patience. Ooh. Ensnaring prudence. Shivers crawled up Ash's spine. Ash needed to talk to her. But first, a shower. The bathing facilities at the mountain had shocked Ash when she first arrived. Awe-inspiring contraptions forged of metal and fire, not magic. Devices prompted hot and cold water throughout the depths and heights of the mountain. In ways, they seemed more magical to her than ever healing or reanimation. Warm water poured over her with the turn of a knob. Oh, she's so beautiful. Scented soaps combined with coarse sponge, and Ash found herself clean and free of muck in a few minutes later. Tearing off her long black hair, a knock came from the door.
Who is it?
The door opened and Prudence came in. Her red hair, still wet, fell in crimson tendrils around her shoulders. For once she was in armour, wearing instead a simple frock with unadorned pants underneath.
Hector is still out, but I can tell somehow he's fine, and that he will likely be a while. I figured I should come spend some time with you. It's been a while since we did that, and as long as Heck is out, it'll just be the two of us.
Okay, well I'm going to end it there, guys. So thank you so much for watching. It's been a complete pleasure. I'm still with the mindset that the heads did something, that there's some reason that they're at fault. But we'll find out next time. Bye, guys.